Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show. Home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros.
Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show Action Edition. Today, let's take a little diversion and talk about our spring break.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
I'm here with Larry. Larry, spring break, baby. We're both down in the Keys at the same time, and we didn't see each other.
Yeah, because somebody had to leave early.
Somebody got there late.
No, I was. Oh, yeah, maybe. Okay, fine, be that way. So we decided we're gonna do some personal shows, right? We decided we're gonna divert from doing all this handyman stuff. So both John and I were down in the fabulous Florida Keys. I went to Key West to go to the Dry Tortugas, which the trip was great except for the person dying. This was not a great.
It wasn't you.
It wasn't me, so it was.
Or anybody else
good.
that you knew.
But we went. No. Yeah, it wasn't. We went to the Dry Tortugas, and Johnny, you were down there. You have a place that you stay down.
Yeah, in Lower Matacombe, and the reason, and we're not the folks. We're not trying to turn this into home movie night here and trying to bore anybody. But I think everybody can. I think everybody can relate. On their spring break. Now I don't. My daughter and they're older and. They didn't travel with us. I know a lot of you folks out there travel with kids and things like that. But the trip starts off at somewhere in the neighborhood of like 5 o'clock in the morning and driving like a NASCAR driver down to the airport here in Atlanta from the north side. And let me tell you something. You don't drive that very often. There's a couple major highways that are coming together and they're being under construction at dark 30. It's a mess in the morning.
It's basically a mess all the time.
It is. Yeah, but it's rather scary. Even when there wasn't a whole lot of cars on it. Anyways, you're flying down. You're flying down to the airport. You get into the airport. It's planes, trains, and automobiles, right? I mean, it's like you park your car, you get on the shuttle, you get to the airport, you walk in the airport. Okay, hurry up, and wait. And here's this massive line, going through, TSA.
So I have a suggestion. It's called TSA PreCheck and Clear.
I understand. It's still the amount of people that you have to deal with and everything. It's like, oh my God.
It's spring break, Johnny.
It's spring. Well, get out of my way. That's why I'm going to buy, my own Gulfstream and,
Johnny, from the
I can fly down there.
Come on, there's no profits to be made there buying a Gulfstream. Come on,
yeah,
come on.
Right. So, anyways, we had a blast. The Keys were great every year. The weather's awesome at this time. You folks that live in Florida, and I lived in Florida for 10 years. It's just let's see, February, I'd say March, April, and May. And part of June are awesome months down there.
Yes,
from the weather wise. I mean, everything's settled. After June and they get into July and stuff, then all bets are off. Then you got your afternoon showers every day. There's the atmospheric disturbance starts to happen. So, but it was a blast. I know that you went to Key West, and out of there, that's always a favorite of mine too.
Yep, lots to do in Key West if you are an adult. I'm not so sure if you're a little kid if there's much to do. But anyway, be that as it may, we had a really wonderful time. Went to the National Park at the Dry Tortugas, Fort Jefferson. Actually, very, very interesting. Really worth the trip.
Dr. Mudd, right?
Yep, Dr. Mudd was out there, so he was one of the Lincoln conspirators. By the way, your name is Mudd, Johnny. It's Mudd, and that's the actual reason where that statement comes from. But pretty interesting stuff.
Just for the audience, right? The guy was the guy who set the leg of Booth,
the leg of John Wilkes Booth. Yep.
Right, who shot Lincoln. Which
I didn't tell you this,
remember.
Johnny, but I was out there sitting on the dock in the Dry Tortugas, right? And this person is fishing off the dock. They bring a couple sport fishing boats come in. This person is fishing off the dock, happened to be a woman, and she's fishing off the dock, and I see come up in the water rises this thing. I'm like, what the heck is that? Right? It was a Goliath grouper. It had to weigh 250, 300 at least. It comes up like a freaking submarine. I mean, just right, comes up to the, not to the, quite to the surface, but I mean, you could
Yeah, you can
definitely
see it.
tell. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you couldn't miss this bad boy. And then it just descends, same thing. I'm like, throw your bait over there. She's like, could I get that thing in with these? She's using like 10-pound test line. I'm like, not a chance.
Nah,
Like,
not a yeah,
not
not
a
a
chance.
chance. Not a
And
chance.
that thing just, it settles right down, back down to the bottom. I was like, man, I've been fishing for years, and I've just never seen one. I've never seen that. I've never seen one.
That's
I mean, it literally just came out, and it wasn't a 600 pounder or anything like that. But man, that was a big fish. I was like, wow. And to give you perspective, folks, we were probably in, I don't know, 12 feet of water, maybe, something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Just,
usually I hang around the rocks and stuff but man,
well, we were on
something
the dock.
yeah,
It was up in close to the dock.
something that
Yep.
big. Whew, man. And the other thing that so there was a couple of things that I'll share with everybody is that this inflation thing, it was expensive this trip.
It's expensive. Yeah. Yep.
This trip was noticeably more expensive.
And I'll say the service level was bad, even by, normally the Keys do not have the greatest service level because there's just, it's a
It's
very, very, very expensive place to live. It's so
yeah.
expensive. And everybody I talked to that was working kind of in the trades, and by the way, we always check stuff out when we go down there. I love architecture, so when I go to the Keys, if you've never been to Old Key West, in what's called Old Key West, it's all Victorian type architecture. It's really amazing stuff, and they're doing all kinds of rehabs and stuff on homes. So you get to see really old construction techniques and things like that, and it's amazing how they rehab some of these homes. Johnny, you saw a very interesting thing in your travels. This is home improvement related.
Yeah, so I think it was the first day we were there, or the second day.
He sent
I
me a video, folks.
there
It
there
was
was there's a lot of construction going on in the Keys.
Yep,
Now a lot
just
of
like
the old
everywhere.
Keys, I've been going down there since I was a little kid back in the '60s. Okay, with my parents. And I just remember there's still some things that are still there,
Yep,
unbelievable. They're still there,
still
but
there.
the hurricane took a big chunk out, and my biggest fear was that, here comes the big corporatists, and they're going to take everything out of there and just, start building condos, which a bit of that's going on.
Pretty much
But I
happening.
saw, you see some funny things. Okay. You see some funny things. These guys are building a new home down there. And it's all, all concrete block construction, of course. But, they're in like a homemade basket, or on
If you want to call it that, yeah.
on a forklift, one of the forklifts that you rent and you go up
The
and down,
construction. Yeah.
construction lift, and usually you see these things in their big steel cages or something that they have that guys are standing in, and the thing goes up, but these things were like on a pallet, and somebody and I had to take that picture and send it to you, Larry, because they built this like flimsy plywood thing around like looks like a pallet, so that the forks would go into the pallet, and they're lifted up, two or three stories up, and they're just on this thing working away. I'm like, yeah, not so much,
Not so much. Not so much. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen that in the warehouses. I've seen people do that in warehouses, but it's not. Well, just say it's not the best practices. Let's
yeah,
just
I
leave it.
wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. And the last thing I'll leave you with is that one of the things I did notice, and we're in the Middle Keys, and around Isle Morada. What most people would know, if I say Lower Matacombe, it's like where?
Yeah,
It's
nobody
Isle
knows.
Morada. So,
Right.
um, is the Crocodiles making a comeback? There
Yes,
there
the
are
American
there
quarterback.
are
Yeah.
there are freshwater or saltwater crocodiles down there that they were extinct, not extinct, but on the endangered list, and
They
they
still are,
and they
but
put
they've
them and
really they've
they penned them
surged.
up. They penned them up and made uh, a little home for them there. I guess it was in Key Largo or something. And now they're everywhere now, I guess.
Yeah,
So
so this goes back a couple of years. We went to Everglades, or we went to the Everglades National Park, which is right at the end. It's basically just north of the Keys, like
yeah,
literally
yeah,
about,
yeah.
you
And you
know,
drive, yeah, basically you drive through it going to the Keys.
pretty depends which
Yeah,
side you're coming from, but
yeah.
yes, basically you do. So anyway, we're at the dock, and I look out and I see this. I look out and I'm like, what the heck is that? And that goes, oh, that's, I can't remember. They had a name for it. It was Fred the crocodile, and I'm like, how big is Fred? He's like, oh, we think he's 18 feet long, probably weighs around 2,000 pounds. I'm like, holy
And
smokes!
that's a
I mean,
crocodile. That
that's a crocodile.
there's a big difference, folks, between a crocodile and an alligator.
Yeah, they're a little more aggressive.
A
Like,
lot more aggressive.
yeah, a lot
Now,
more
these
aggressive.
aren't. I did a little thing, and they're not as aggressive as like a Nile crocodile,
Right,
but
right.
it's still, that I've had, pictures from where our condo is in Isle Morada, off the dock where people have spotted them and posted the pictures, and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh man, I haven't seen one of those, down there. It's the last thing I've ever seen down in down in the Keys, out outside the Everglades of all the crocodiles, or outside the
right,
canals and things like that. But
right.
it's just
And the first thing you thought about was how many shoes and handbags can we make out of that
yeah.
thing?
No, that's all the big alligators, man. That would be a nice belt. But
Oh my God!
yeah,
All
get a
right.
Crocodile Dundee vest out of that one.
Yeah, there you go. Let's wrap this one
Yeah.
up. But folks, we had a good time on our spring break. Besides some of the travel issues, which I had the same experiences. I was very fortunate. I really packed my patience, especially coming into Atlanta, because it was just,
Yeah.
oh boy, and sometimes you're just like, really?
Mhm.
Okay, whatever,
Yep.
But
Let's
you
leave
just,
it.
you just,
Let's leave it
yeah,
there
we're just
before.
we're leaving it. We're just gonna leave it there. All right. With that, folks, if you like this show, please send the links off to your peoples. Let us know. We'll do all those things. If you have a question for a show, or you have a comment you want to do, send us a note, please. That's at Handyman Pros Radio Show, or questions at handymanprosradioshow.com, or you can go to our website, handymanprosradioshow.com, and go to the contact page. You can click through us to there. You also can send us questions at Handyman Pros on Facebook. Facebook group's getting pretty big, Johnny.
Oh
It's getting
yeah.
pretty good. We want a little more feedback. So, folks, if you
Yes.
are, if you got some stuff, put it out there. We will answer questions. We like to answer questions, just because, questions, concerns, whatever, whatever, doesn't matter. Anyway, with that, I think, are we done, John? Are we done? We are done.
Yeah, we are done. We're out.
Thanks
We're
for
done. We're
listening.
done.
We'll see you next week on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.